We are.
Get ready. Hold tight. It's
Hold on to
happening.
your hats, boys.
Libos.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
Just what the flipping Nora are you all lot doing?
I'm still in there. I'm still right behind him.
It was just a very well thought out tactical plan by Danny.
I want goals.
I can literally feel the steam coming out your ears.
So it's like a fun little post-game snack.
The Wednesday Week!
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Week, the Q&A edition. Yes, I know it's been quite a while since we did one of these, but we are back. And as ever, I'm joined by Stevie, Spendog5, and Dan Fudge Dan. Dan Fudge even, isn't it?
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, no problem.
Hi.
Chaps, great to be back, isn't it?
It's been a while, hasn't it?
I can't believe it's been that long. When was the last time we did one? It was Christmas getting in the way, wasn't it?
It's probably light years in Sheffield Wednesday.
Lot can happen.
It can. Yes, we're back for Q&A. Before we kick off the excitement, please, everyone, give us a like, subscribe, review. We haven't asked for reviews, have we? Do we want to do that? Do you like it? Do you not? We don't care. Just put it down, don't we?
Can that lot be trusted?
Review the pod. Don't review Dan.
Yes, should make that. Yeah. Review the content and not the hosts. Cheers. Right, are you ready? Come on, let's get into it. We've been out there to all the socials, asked for the questions, all the burning questions that you guys have wanted to ask us. So we'll go first. Here we go. Up first is Al Maplo off X. You've got one trip in a time machine. You can make one trip either forwards or backwards only, and you can spend 24 hours there. When and where are you going?
Does this have to be football based?
I'll tell you what. Let's do one football based and one not football based. Should we do that?
All right.
Yeah. So, Stevie, do you want to kick us off? Should we do us football ones first? Football based first.
Right. I'm never going forwards because it means I'm going to be older. I can't. I don't know what's coming, and I'm all right with not knowing what's coming. So I'm never going to go forwards. So I'm going to go backwards with both of mine.
Is that from a guy who's got two daughters as well? Don't want to get there.
I looked at them the other, and I took them both to we're recording the night after Bristol City, and I looked at them both last night, and I was watching them walk down Herries, and they walked into Berries, and they got the food, they got the tea, and then
did they have cherries?
Cherries on Herries at Berries, but
Shit gag, love it.
Sorry.
They're growing up so quick, and I don't know if I like it or not. I'm used to my little girls being my little girls, but that's a conversation for another time. I'm not going to go forwards. I would go back, and controversially, I'm not going to pick anything Sheffield Wednesday. It'd be very easy to talk about the Miracle of Hillsborough. It'd be very easy to talk about 91. It'd be very easy to talk about anything associated with Wembley or Cardiff. You know, we'd all want to go and do that, and we've all had great days and Covent Garden and it being everything we'd always wanted and all of that in terms of being a football fan. I've gone a little bit neutral. I've gone a little bit rogue. I had the best weekend, and I know we're talking 24 hours. I had the best weekend you could wish for going and watching Real Madrid in 2001. Got on a plane, young kid. I've been teaching for 6 months. Me and my uni mate jumped on a plane and flew out to Madrid on a Friday night from Luton. I'd forgot my passport. I had to break into the flat that me and the missus were living in at the time to get my passport.
Brilliant.
We'd come back from a football presentation, and with a 2-hour window of getting a taxi to get back down, we'd left the keys or lost the keys somewhere. It was her fault. It always is. But we've ended up breaking a window to get into the flat that we were renting for £200 a month, I think it was at the time, by the way.
Brilliant.
So you can imagine what it looked like. Got the passport, got the taxi, got down to the airport, flew out. Real Madrid in 2001 needed to win the last game of the season at home at the Bernabeu to win the league, and they went out and played Alaves. And this is an era of Guti, McManaman, Figo, you name it, they had it there. It was pre-Beckham, so it was pre-Galacticos, but it was, you know, the bee's knees in terms of Spanish football.
Raul.
And they ended up winning 5-0. And the whole experience of going to Spain, going to the Bernabeu, doing the stadium tour, the job lot, and then just that catharsis of being with your mates. And we call this therapy at times, don't we? There are bits that we do where we just get together and have these sort of chats, and I get a lot out of doing this, but I also get a lot out of what we do off air. And that was probably the closest I've been to this sort of relationship that I've had with my mates. Sitting out, you know, those people that I were with, sitting out and just eating food and enjoying Spain and watching the world go by for a weekend. The 24 hours of that game was ridiculous. And it was something that I'll never experience again, I don't think. But yeah, for me, going to Spain, Madrid, sitting in the sun, weekend, watching some excellent footballers win 5-0, and doing it with people that I thought were my mates at the time. So yeah.
Nice. Danielson?
We're doing football, aren't we?
Football first, yeah.
I genuinely would want to go back to 91, and I know that's a really easy answer. It's a really easy answer. But I also feel like 93 against the Blades as well would have been great to be back, because I just weren't old enough. I mean, when I say go back, well, when you say go back, you know, it depends how you perceive the question. Do I go back knowing what I know now and then relive it for 24 hours? You know what I mean?
As a 44-year-old bloke.
Yeah, going back and then going, I need to remember this now. Or am I going to go back and be 10-year-old, 11-year-old again? And I can't get on the pints. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So definitely, but you know, recent memory being a grown-up, definitely football would be the playoff final against Barnsley, to do it against your local rivals in the last second, and the day we had, well, the weekend we had, and you know, you having pints down the front of your t-shirt. You know what I mean? Absolutely banging.
In the shape of Africa.
Yeah,
Map of
Africa on my shirt.
Map of Africa on his shirt. And then I could go back and not stand where we stood outside the Nag's Head, where them kids were kicking those fucking footballs, and then I can move. You know what I mean? The only downer on a good day. Oh my God, shift. And he kept kicking the ball. What were they kicking? Was it balloons or balls?
Yeah.
Beach balls. With the beach balls.
Yeah, the
Beach balls, right? So we're stood there in a circle as you're trying to suck pints, and this fucking kid kept coming back. Boot. Way. Oh, well done, young man. Yeah, took a sip. And he'd come back and stand right where we were stood to take another run up. It got about sixth time, and I'm thinking, can you fuck off? I'm just fucking kids ruin everything.
I'm going to probably might be an obvious one, but probably being in the 66 final crowd.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the World Cup final. Okay. I am going well back, because obviously I know it doesn't look like it, but I wasn't there, and I'm not as old as I do look. But I think just for the whole thing of it, knowing now, like with dancing, what we know now of how bloody hard it is to win a World Cup, with some generational great talents we've had for England, going back then to watch it in a totally different era of football, which I would not know anything of, I think would be fantastic. And especially going back now as a guy who's grown up with Sky Sports, growing up with the actual money that's in football, to go back then, looking at that.
When they're on 20 quid a week.
I think would be fantastic for me. So I'm going back to 66.
In the pub at 6 o'clock, smoking a fag and drinking a pint out of the tank.
Oh, what a time! What a time!
Yeah. Right then, non-sporting. Stevie, we'll go back to you.
I'm going to be really boring, and I'll keep it short, because people that listen to the pod will know what's important. It's the 22nd of March 2014. Birth of my daughters. Simple. Best day of my life. You know, we got married. My wedding was ridiculous. We ended up going clubbing in Lichfield and then coming back up and having a reception on the Saturday. We did a whole weekend. We had to talk Louise out of getting in a taxi. She actually got in the taxi in her wedding dress with every intention of going down to Lebanon on the Saturday night. I ended up in a kebab shop. I ended up in a kebab shop in Intake.
Brilliant.
Wedding reception. So that was that's a lens into our wedding. But yeah, it was good. But the whole process of picking your kid up for the first time, and I know that Ash, you'll have gone through it, and you and Shadrach tight as, and that's the formation and the basis of you being a Wednesdayite. That moment that kids are born, and Molly's a big old lump these days, but she was £5. Olivia was only £3 and the size of a TV remote, and they literally pulled her out and whipped her into special care because they were worried about her. And I look at them now and I just think every now and again I go back to that, and that whole 24 hours for everything that it had taken to get to that point. I'm a dad and I've got two, and yeah.
Oh shit! You're gonna
Daniel?
make mine look like absolute trash. Oh, you goddamn! Oh, why do we start with him for? There's a back in my.
Can I boo you?
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to now. But you specifically, given the music that you like, you're gonna find this really funny. Obviously, back in my early teens and late teens, early 20s, I was doing a lot of the auditioning and boy band circuit and presenting circuit to try and carve a name into showbiz. And I didn't make it into this one band, and I convinced myself that the reason I didn't make it into this band, not because I was a 6'3" gangly walking nose and ears. In my head, I was the best looking geezer in town. I had streaks, right? But I had highlights. I did the top. We're talking NSYNC times, right? And I went into this audition in Pineapple Studios in London, and I tried to sing "No Diggity" by Blackstreet. Now,
No.
what I should have done was some of the rapping parts of something else, or something that I could actually sing, because I do not have the silky tones of a soul band.
Brilliant.
So yeah, so if I could go and relive that again,
No?
I could have been in quite a successful boy band.
I want you to do "No Diggity" in Chan Series voice.
No diggity, you've got to bag it up. There you are. That's what you're getting. So yeah, that's what I go back and revisit. Just whispering 19, 80-year-old Dan Fudge's ear. Don't do "No Diggity," you fucking idiot. Don't. That's it. What's the matter with you?
I'm gonna keep mine short and sweet because I don't want to bring it down a bit. But my old man passed away really early in my life, so anything pre-me 20, I think for me, anything Dan, you were lucky or unlucky enough to meet my old man. But anything there. So that's me. That's my personal back then. Anything like that. Apart from him taking me to Wednesday, but then I'm doing that to my lad. So there we go. Yeah, so that one. Yeah, so that's the first question out of the way. Done well, lads. It's only 13 minutes. Right, next one. You don't even know what order these are coming in.
No idea.
I'm putting this one on now because of the pre-show, the conversation we had. So this is from Mosley Owl on Blue Sky. So, does ketchup belong in the fridge or a cupboard? Dan, kick us off first, because I'm sensing there's going to be a bit of bit of strong feelings on the ketchup situation.
because I didn't make it into boy bands. I ended up working in hospitality in my career later on, and I know the importance of labeling things and what happens when stuff goes out of date and how things can turn, and cryptosporidium, staphylococcus, and all the rest of it. I know it says on the bottle to keep it in the fridge, but I am absolutely disgusted by cold. I don't like ketchup at the best of times. I'm going to piss off half the audience now. I feel like ketchup is a sweet sludge to get kids to eat food. And if you're having ketchup on something outside a burger and chips as a grown-up, I am judging you. I am absolutely. I honestly, I'm embarrassed for you. I really am. Like, who's ordered the fillet? Yeah, well done. Fucking hell. I'm already annoyed at you. And then, that's great. Can I get you any horseradish, anything like that? Any, any condiments? Mustard's fine, right? Because it's a grown-up sauce. Yeah, and they always do that face. Oh yeah, can we have some ketchup? I want to spit in their eye. You know what I mean? However, you shouldn't be having ketchup as a grown-up anyway, right? However, if you're having cold ketchup and you're putting that on hot chips, wrong'un. You're an absolute wrong'un. Even though it says on the bottle, don't have it. Is my advice. But I would prefer room temperature ketchup because I don't want to put cold sauce on hot chips. You psychopath.
Stevie, and do you agree with Daniel on his quite vociferous views on ketchup?
I have got some right-wing views on a lot of random topics here, lads.
We've talked about ketchup and the discussion of ketchup around food and adults eating ketchup ad nauseum off air and privately. I don't agree. I
what a group chat, lads! What a group chat,
honestly. What do they do at Wednesday week? Some of the things they must be talking about when they're putting in that high-end content that's award-winning.
Shay Charles, the ins and outs of the club, and Chancery in, Chancery out.
British people can't be trusted around fucking buffets because they keep putting food on top of the napkin. That's what we're talking about. Bringing it to you straight.
Go, Stevie's ketchup.
I disagree. I like ketchup. I love it. I'll put it on pretty much all chips. Ketchup without chips is sacrilege.
You're a grown-ass man. You're a grown-ass man who's old enough to vote and sire a child.
Who enjoys his... You're not a secret. You're not a secret ketchup. Just squirt a little bit on there. You are full on. I'm a ketchup. Everyone knows about it.
And the thing, I don't. Why do people do that? Oh, do you know what? I'm going to get ketchup. I'm going to put it on the side of the plate in a little dollop, and I'm going to pick my food up and dip it in. No, I want ketchup. I want it all over. I want it all over everything. By the way, that's first point.
All right, go on.
Second point, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. I 100% agree with Daniel.
What regarding the fridge?
Cupboard fridge belongs in a cupboard. What? Yeah. Where do you buy it from? Where do you buy it from? You go to the supermarket. What aisle do you go? What aisle do you go to?
Exactly. You don't go to the fridge aisle, do you?
I mean, look, it does say on the bottle, and this is for extension in terms of turnover time and first in, first out, and all the other phrases that come with it. It is to maintain its normal viscosity. It don't go off if you put it in the fridge as quick.
Exactly.
And it does say to keep refrigerated once opened, like a lot of things do. But cold sauce, what's the matter with you? Psycho.
I'm gonna go. We personally keep the. I'll go on story, Steve. You're not finished.
I was just going to say, having said that, I would put mayo in the fridge.
Yes.
That's eggs, isn't it?
Yeah. I agree.
Right. So I'm not a ketchup lover, really. I've been.
That's because you're a grown up who's old enough to vote.
I'm a grown ass man that's found Frank's red hot sauce instead. So
sriracha.
Oh my god! I can give or take it, but no. On the ketchup, not really that bothered. But I do admit, at home, it is sat in the fridge. So I do put it in the fridge, but I don't personally eat it. The kids do. Well, one of my kids does. One doesn't like. Shadrach doesn't like it. He can't touch it. He can't even touch a bottle of ketchup. As in, can you just put that back in the fridge, or can you get me one off the shelf? He can't even touch it. So,
what a strange.
Brought him up well.
He is a strange lad, but yeah,
he's brought up well. He's going to go straight for the horseradish.
Yeah. So anyone listening, if you want to just drop your comment in the comments, if you put it in the fridge, in the cupboard, under the stairs, in a drawer, wherever, just make a comment on this video, and Dan will pass judgment on you.
let's poll it tomorrow. We'll release this and poll it.
Wrong
Fridge or cupboard.
Yeah, that's a good
wrong
one.
Wrong and all right. Yeah. Okay. Here we are. Let's right. Rich Marshall off Facebook. Thank you very much for your question. This is quite a pertinent question. This thing. Why do we as fans think we can dictate to the owner how he runs the club? Should have proofread these, shouldn't I, really? Can you think of any other industry where that would be acceptable? Anyone want to offer up first dibs on that one, Daniel? You're reading that with a bit of intent?
I don't think we can. I think it's a privately owned business, and us telling him what to do, I find a bit toe curling, if I'm honest. So when we talk about things about Chansiri doing this and Chansiri doing that, I'm a little bit. I'd tell him to fuck off. You know what I mean? I'd be like,
Well, he
who,
did,
who
didn't he?
you
Really?
Yeah,
He
who are
did
you
on
telling me
Fans
what
Forum.
to do?
Don't
Yeah,
come and buy a ticket.
I'd be the same. Like, I'm one of those people that if let me put myself in their shoes, let me come at it from their perspective. I'd be like, who are these? Who are this lot? If you don't like it, don't come. However, it is football and it is different, right? So it is different because of the amount of people that go and the expense. You know what I mean? And I think that when people are trying to what's perceived as tell him what to do, which is what he hears people telling him, right? I think it's actually people going, would it not be better doing it this way? I think that's what they mean. It's not what they say. They go, Chad, you bloody hell, you can't sell us a pie at half time. But what they're saying is, would it not be better to generate funds if we could buy a bloody pie at half time? That type of thing. Yeah. However, the question says, can you think of any other industry in which that would be acceptable? No, I can't. I can, hospitality industries from a personal perspective, there's a lot of feedback and there's a lot of people telling you doing wrong and stuff like that. And if you do piss a customer off, you just don't go anymore. But because football, you pick your team at like 10 years old and then that's it. You're just miserable for the rest of your life. That's how it goes. You kind of want your team to be better, don't you? You want your restaurant to be better. And it's that type of vibe. It's that type of engagement, as it were. So personally speaking, I think it's ridiculous that we try and tell anybody how to run their business, but especially this nutcase.
Stevie, what's your thoughts on this question?
No, I genuinely haven't got much more to say other than what Dan's added. I totally agree with that. It's bizarre that we are. Do you know what? The thing that gets us, people get offended when we get called customers rather than
we
supporters.
are though. That's what we are.
It's a tradition thing, isn't it? We are supporters first and foremost, and everything has changed. And I know that people will listen to this now, and given the current climate and the volatility of the fandom and the hashtag at the moment, I don't like being called a customer. I'll say that. I'm a supporter of Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, and we're recording this on a Thursday. Monday night, we got into it and we were talking, deep about certain things that had happened at the Fans Forum. I support the football club. I'm not pro or anti Chansiri per se. I've got opinions on him in terms of the things that he does wrong, and I think he does a lot of things wrong. I also think that there are a lot of things that he does that people that are quite militant at the moment don't appreciate, and I think that will come to pass with hindsight in the coming months going forwards. I don't know why we think we can sit there and go to this man who owns the business that we should be telling him how to do. We can have an opinion, absolutely, and that's the fandom, isn't it? That's the tribalism. That's why football is amazing, because we want to support something that we really believe in. Dan made a point in terms of the number of people that support football clubs. There are lots of people that go elsewhere and support other teams and in other sports. Do you get this in the NBA? No. Do you get this in American sports? No, because their model is slightly different. In England, what's comparable to the audiences, the people, the spectators, the numbers that are going and visiting in stadia? Rugby league, rugby union, they're a similar sort of sport, and cricket, they're similar, but they're not getting the negativity around ownership that we get at football. Because, and I can't say that a rugby fan isn't as passionate about their sport and their team, but there's just something at times that I feel, and I'll say it, we're kind of entitled, aren't we? But does that go back to the point that we're making around us being football fans that are so passionate about it that we spend a lot of money seeing what we want to see?
And I think that's where people think they can dictate to an owner of a club, because you are invested in it. And I said it off thing, but I think where it says any other industry, what other industry are people so, and I'd say more emotionally involved with that industry, football, your club? It goes back generations for a lot of supporters. So you're emotionally, and I think that's where that takes over, which Yes,
The
you
only-
put your
Sorry,
£1,000 a
mate.
year in for a season ticket. Yes, monetary you are, and you have a right to air your views on that. Anyone's got any right. You don't have to pay £1,000, obviously. Sorry, I said that wrong. But I think somebody running your football club, and it's your football club, and you think it's you, and it is the owner's football club. And I'm not just saying about Chancery, but yeah, obviously Chancery, it is his football club. And when people say it's not, he's just a custodian. I can see why people say that because of the emotional attachment to that club. But he's not. It's his club. He can run it and run it as shit as he wants, or as good as he wants, or how he sees he's running it. And we're and people, there's part of the engagement panel tell him suggestions, things, say we don't agree with things. There's groups of 1867, there's supporters groups, there's all sorts of people like have an opinion on Chancery and how he's doing or how they think he's doing. And they can have that. There's no right not to. But I don't think he can do whatever he likes. Do you know what I mean? He can do whatever he likes. But you can still do it. You can still have an opinion on it. But I don't think you can say you need to sell, because yes, he might need to, because he's not spending a couple of million in the January, or he's letting the best manager we've had for 25 years maybe walk out the door type of thing. But it is his club and he could do whatever he wants. And we can't dictate to him. We could try.
Especially him. We can't do
it. But that's it.
It's that attachment, isn't it? Do you know what? I'm going to try and use an analogy, so bear with me. I started to say something then. The only thing that comes anywhere near the affinity that you have for a football club, in my opinion, because football ultimately is an entertainment industry, isn't it? We go to Hillsborough because we care, but we want to be entertained. It's something that we do. It's a leisure activity. It's amplified and it's blown up to being what it is now. Football, because of the money that's been put in, because of Sky TV, blah, 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 and everything else that's happened, has made it transcend everything else. And it's now become effectively an entity that exists within itself. So when I make the point about rugby and fans of rugby, fans of cricket, fans of tennis, whatever else, the money isn't there to the same level, the same extent, because the supportership isn't there. And let's be right, if you want to go back, the start of the Premiership back in 92, 93 was a ploy by Sky to get people to buy satellite dishes. That's where it came from, because all they had was The Simpsons, and all you had was people that wanted to go in their droves. And that's the case. You had The Simpsons and a couple of movie channels, and they went, right, we need somebody to come and buy some Sky dishes. So what can we have? There are this many people turning up at football grounds. Let's put football on the telly. And that's what they did. Yeah. So they have evolved and changed and developed the game. And you could link it going full loop like we did the other night to 66. Football has changed massively since Sky came in the early 90s. It has. It's a different entity. It exists within its own, sphere, its own stratosphere, if you like. The only thing that comes close to it in its basic form is TV and entertainment. So your Saturday night, I'm going to watch The X Factor back in the day. I'm going to watch Pop Idol. I'm going to do this. I'm going to invest in something that I really care about. But that is short and sharp. It happens for a season. We've talked off air. My kids are massively into traitors at the minute. That finishes tomorrow night or whenever it is. But it's a series. Football is seasonal, and you get into it. You follow you get passionate about things that you watch and you're constant.
Yeah, but the ending of Traitors, if you didn't like the ending of that, or you thought the last couple of weeks of Saturday Night Telly's shite, you won't go to Mr. BBC or Mr. ITV or Mr. Netflix and go, I demand you to sell it to somebody else, because would you? But that's what you're getting.
That's exactly the point I'm going to. So the analogy that I was getting to, that I was going to use, when it started, Lost was incredible. When it started, the Walking Dead was destination TV.
Yeah.
Lost, I persevered with for a few years because it was short and sharp, and it ended up finishing after 5 years. I could have watched Lost for 2 years and then done. It ran out of ideas. It was finished, and I switched off. Walking Dead, I went to season 5. Negan came in, battered somebody with a baseball bat, and then I went, right, nothing's happening here. I'm going to stop. and I'm going to find something else to go and watch that's going to be better, and you find something else. You can't do that with your football club. I can't suddenly go, right, we've got an owner who's chucking this much money in, but down the street, the Marvel guys have just bought Sheffield United, so I'm going to go start watching Sheffield United. That's not that's not an option. You can't do that. I'm going to go and watch this. I'm going to go and consume that.
And
you can't
that's
do
why
it.
we're so vociferous in our feedback.
Why can't you?
Exactly.
Why can't
What do
you?
you mean, like?
Because you
why-
get socially ostracized, Dash. What are you going to do?
Because you're
What's
in-
that?
I'm not
The
saying-
Sheffield, the
I'm not
United
saying
week.
Sheffield United.
Wow,
No,
bloody
I'm
hell.
Because it
I'm not
becomes
saying
a
that.
thing. Sorry, man. go on.
You could stop watching Wednesday and go into another team. There's nothing stopping you doing that, is there? What is stopping you? Emotional attachment,
It's the emotional attachment, and we'll talk long and fast. We talked about it earlier tonight. Why do you go to Sheffield Wednesday? Why are you on this podcast? Why did you end up getting a season ticket? Because it's time with you and your boy. Why have I ended up? I sat with my mate, I'd done the coaching, I'd done the playing, I'd done everything else. And it got to a point in my life where I was like, right, I'm going to start going back to Sheffield Wednesday. And you know what? Me and my mate are going to take the kids. We're going to go to the pub beforehand. We're going to get some food. And then we're going to make an afternoon of it where we can sit, and it becomes a social thing. But the social thing starts to evolve. And then eventually you're at a point where you've got an emotional attachment that you can't get away from.
You're doing a fucking podcast on a Monday night every week.
and that's where the owners got you. And they, or he, she, whoever. Because you've now got that emotional attachment. And that's where I feel that fans feel they can have a go at an owner because of that emotional attachment.
I think you're right. I think there's an element of, Ash, like, hey, football club, I've brought my family here. I've subscribed to this. I've spent money on this, and I keep spending money. And I've shared you with my family. I've shared you with my friends. Can you be better? Do you know what I mean? And that's why they do it.
Yeah.
And that's why and I think because you can't go and watch something else, because you can't change your team, because of the emotional attachment you've got, because of the social stigma around going, oh, do you know what? I follow Rotherham now. You know what I mean? It's you can't do that. That's why we're so vociferous in the feedback, because we just want to be better. But because we're also football fans and it's so emotive, and I was going to make it a Yorkshire thing that we're like whinging, but they're like it all over the country with their football clubs. Everybody's like it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's born out of wanting the club to be better rather than what you want to do is. Because as soon as anybody says that phrase to me, I've already switched off. My dad was a nightmare for it. You know, hey, I tell you, what you want to do is, no, I've gone. I'm not listening.
Yeah. Right, next up. We've got Simon Oak in our LMS chat. So the last man standing chat we've got, and Simon's offered up a question. So DC and DR, and if you didn't know, that's Dave Fonchansiri and Danny Rule, are playing Monopoly. And Danny Rule draws a community chest card that says he can sign one Premier League player from any team until the end of the season. Who does he go for? Stevie.
I have no explanation as to the reason why I've gone for this guy, but the one name popped up and I just went Cole Palmer.
Oh, good one.
Good one.
Cole Palmer. Exciting.
Cole Palmer.
Okay.
Done.
Well, easy enough. I would say that you're pretty strong on the left-hand side, aren't we? So I'd look at somewhere we're not as strong.
Fine.
So
I'm not. Yeah, I know. I'm saying Cole Palmer. Yeah, of course you'd have it, but yeah, Dan.
I know we need a defender. I know we need a centre back, but that's not exciting, isn't it? So Mo Salah.
Hey!
I think he's one of the best players in the Premier League right now. I don't know what's happened. He's doing for that Ati Nuyu end of contract grift, and all of a sudden that this season he's had is absolutely incredible. And if we're only having him for one season, we ain't got to worry about longevity and sell-on fees and all the rest of it. Mo Salah. Because he's exciting. He's exciting. Oh, Stevie's gone.
He didn't like that. He didn't like that answer, did he? He's gone. I don't know, because we need somebody to score goals, don't we? We need someone to take just a little bit of pressure off Ugbo, don't we? You know.
Yeah.
Also, obviously, listening to this, we've potentially lost the best player we've had this season in the centre of the park as well. I'm thinking we need someone to replace him. But there's still a little slight hope that Shea Charles will return. So I'm going to go for a striker. And I tell you what, if anyone has got any choice of a striker who's half decent, I'm going with Haaland. I know it's easy, innit? It's an easy answer. It is an easy answer.
But the reason I didn't go for Haaland is purely because Masaba and Gasaba don't release the ball enough to get the ball to him. And I'm like, I'm thinking, would he fit in our system? Like, you know what I mean? Would we get the ball to? Because, you get the ball in on the penalty spot to him, it's going in, right? That's what that's what he does. But I feel like that's why I went for Salah, because he'd do a bit of running.
I didn't. You went a bit deep there. You actually thought about how to play and stuff, and I just thought he'd get 30-odd goals. So I'm like, yeah, he's a goal machine, isn't he? I'll have him. But yeah, I mean, I know where Stevie's coming from with Palmer. I was just thinking about, obviously, Gassama is probably in the form of his life in the last few games into. So it's like, yeah, the left-hand side I'm all right with. Right-hand side, could do with a bit of help, but
fair enough. I tell you what. Let's do some adverts. Let's have some people endeavouring to flog you some stuff.
We'll come back after them adverts, and if you knew what had happened behind the scenes, you would be pissing yourself. But thank you very much for whatever they've just tried to sell you. Buy them, sign up, whatever. We don't get.
Let me guess. It'll have been the Lotto.
Oh,
and
Lottery.
Chris Rock going. MGM Graham. That's me doing Chris Rock.
Nice one.
Yeah. That's it.
Right. There we go. Let's get crack on with the next question. Next question. Here we go. So, Tom Burton on X. So, I'm... Dan, you've got to read this question.
Have I got to read this question? I've got to do the voice. All right, then. I love the way he's written the first word as well. So, you're DC for a day. Yes, you even have to do the voice all day. You have a £50 million budget, but you cannot spend it on players. Top 3 investments you're making in Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. Ashley from the Wednesday Week podcast. What do you reckon about spending 50 million quid in 3 big investments?
Are we going to go straight in with our 3, or do we do 1 each?
Nah, get in it.
Get in it. Right, I'm going to go. It's an obvious one, and it's been not in the news, but we talked about the last couple of weeks. There were a lack and the unavailability of the training ground, so it's splashing a couple of quid on some grass seed and a couple of Smith's machine for the gym. I think it's people have said it for ages. We need to either move, invest, or whatever. So I think a big chunk of my budget is going to go on that. And this next one's it's probably gonna resonate with quite a few people. I'm gonna splash out on 15 quid of best white emulsion for the Presto. It's got to be done, hasn't it? We gotta get it off. Get it off, Presto.
You won't get far with white emulsion on that, mate. You'll need a hammerite or something like that. Get a nice little hammered finish on it. Get a black hammerite, something from Blackfriar or something like that. Yeah, needs an undercoat as well. But yeah, is
that all courtesy of what was it, Home Care or something?
Home Decor, yeah.
Home Decor,
back in the day, Yep.
And the last one is for you guys, especially for probably Stevie. We've got a term of endearment for a certain part of Hillsborough. It's called Zombieland. And if anyone had seen our TikToks from last season, I know we haven't done them this season, but Zombieland is the fan zone, the corner of the car park that we've put a bar in and not much else. So I think looking at, and I am being a bit tongue-in-cheek and stuff because it is something that I'm quite active in trying to get better and doing stuff, but is the fan zone, is improving that for the fans, because yes, you can invest maybe $1 million or whatever it'll cost, but the actual payoff is a hell of a lot more than what you spend on income, but just the feeling of fans that yes, there's somewhere for us to go. meet your mates, you know, stick your acca on or whatever you're going to, you know, round the table under a roof, though. That has got to be the thing, under a roof.
Retractable. Let's have a retractable.
Oh, retractable, yeah. So I think for me, fan zone, good bar, good beer, music, entertainment. I tell you what would be a good idea, even if just like a bit of pre-match entertainment. Maybe one of the, I don't know, podcasts could do something from there, you know, asking questions, giving out like, you know, the team sheet and, you know, prizes you might win. I mean, I don't know if you'd like that sort of thing. Let us know if you would. Yeah, for me, that's it. Fan zone. Danielson.
Using the hashtag TWW.
Yeah, TWW Zombieland.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Yeah,
Dan, you've got £50 million of money that DC has found at the back of his dad's sofa.
Youth facilities, and making sure that we're producing players from youth level, because outside of Liam Palmer, who's played for the club for a long time, that's been it. It's been it. You know what I mean? And you know, a lot would argue that he's not even at the level that he needs to be at this club. But at least we produce something, and he's the only player that we've really produced. That's it. You know what I mean? That's pretty much it. You could argue Pierce Charles, I guess, but still, I youth facilities needs an absolute overhaul. I would also keep 50 grand back for a decent head of catering. To identify these issues that we've got, and the entire mega store and car park completely start again. There's two things that I would do with it in its current guise. The mega store needs an absolute overhaul, especially with the things it sells and how it sells things. I mean, the fact that you're queuing out the shop on match day for me is beggars belief. And there's that really cantankerous old woman that works in there. She's absolute miserablest sod in the world. And she was boasting the day after the black shirts. I said to her, I bet you were busy yesterday. I had day off, love.
I know, I didn't know about these questions, but obviously at the match last night, went into the mega store just to have a walk around and everything. And some of the stuff on sale is fantastic. There is some really good stuff. There's some reasonably priced things, but there is some things for sale that you just think, how, why, what, and thing. Yeah. There's a whole section of like polo shirts, and I don't get wrong. I am no Alexander McQueen. I ain't got a clue about design or anything like that. But you know, like polo shirts for men and ladies, it's just a plain polo shirt with the new badge on, the badge on, should we call? Yeah. And that's it. It's in 5 or 6 different colours. Now, and they're like 35 quid, 40 quid. It's like, I know that's probably acceptable these days for t-shirts and tops and stuff like that, but I thought it was expensive just to have that. But there's no imagination. There's nothing that you know, for youths as well. You know, what do youths wear? They have the training gear or shirts, don't they? They have no hoodies, and you know they do have them, but they're still not. My son called it the prison hoodie because it's just grey.
The prison hoodie. I feel like the mega store and the car park in the area there. I just think it's a completely underutilized area, and I like. I'm gonna nerd myself off here a bit, but I like going to away days and going to their store and having nerd myself off. And I like going to their store. And I remember we played Villa in the cup. I'm going back 30 years ago, and they had this massive, great bloody building that called Villa Village, and in the middle of it was this mannequin. And it was running. It looked great, and you like went, wow. Or you see like you go to Barcelona and see there. I mean, all right, it's Barcelona. Don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing the two, but it's still just a shop, and it could be great. And then we had that shite one in Meadowhall. What the bloody hell was that? That was a girly wet dribble of just an addendum. I honestly, and I tell you what I'd do as well, and I won't be very popular. No one's parking in that car park next to the mega store while we're trying to operate a fan zone. I'd make the fan zone bigger, and on match day you can park somewhere else. Get it? You know what I mean? I've parked here for 30 years. Piss off.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
The disabled spaces.
No. The ones where
that's
all
what they are. Yeah, that's disabled. No, there's no stuff.
No, it's not. It's not. Don't do that to me.
It is. This was brought up on a meeting as well, but yeah, they're all.
So hang on then. All right.
So you do have to phone up and book them. It's not like that's your space for the season, which is to the left where the players go. Yeah,
that's fine. I'm all right with that. So at the right,
Yeah.
where the green bit is, you could push that fence back, make that the disabled parking, and all that bit down the side of the mega store, you could use that for the fan zone. The fan zone's pretty interchangeable, but the way that there's no drink, there's no real food there, just get a load of vendors in and just make it an experience. It's just, I would get to the ground a lot earlier and I'd go in the ground a lot earlier if it was worth it.
100%. Yeah, it's something that it's go. Is that your 3 then, Daniel? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on then, Stevie. You've had a couple of minutes there to digest that.
Just as an aside, I think I dropped this in the group and picked this up. I went to Rotherham on Saturday because Molly was playing at half time, and their fan zone pre-match experience, Rotherham's pre-match experience, absolutely pissed all over ours. And I'll say that. Do you know what they had? We talked about vendors. They had a couple of community vendors. Rotherham in the community, not United, but like local organisations that were doing bits, and they were giving vouchers out and so on and so forth. They had some of the community program guys, the kick the ball onto the Velcro dartboard. That was there. They had kids queuing up to do that. You talk about going to club shops at other places that we've been to away days. We went to Middlesbrough on Boxing Day. Their fan zone, brilliant, absolutely outstanding. We went to Bolton, not us, but I went to Bolton in League One a couple of years ago. Their fan zone, fantastic, huge place. They can find it. And I know the argument will be car park space, health and safety, blah, blah, blah. I maintain that from a disabled point of view, I'm assuming that we're saying that they have to have access from that side of the ground for the disabled, because that's where the disabled section is. Is that right?
Yeah, it's the entrance. You know where you go if you walk to this mega store.
Yeah. It's at the bottom of the north there, isn't it? So ease of access, fine. But let's have a look at if there's something that we can do there that makes everything more accessible. Let's do it. There's enough space at the moment, and I'm not saying this is a whole, a holistic long-term thing, which is why this isn't one of my 3. It doesn't have to be that, we have to go and say that the fan zone has to take over that entire area. Like Dan's just said, you could move it to the back
use
end.
Of the space. Yeah.
Make a better use of the space. The fan zone at the moment, and I was thinking this, we walked down last night. We played Bristol City last night. We walked down and we've got there early. I took the kids for a pork sandwich. Olivia's only been 3-4 times in the last couple of years, but she's like, right, I'm really excited to go. What we're going to do? Get down there at 6:15. We had to go into the ground and stand on the concourse because there's nothing outside. Yeah. Now, my 10-year-old daughter, I could take her to the club shop, and everything that you've said about the club shop, it resonates. But what is in there? You've got all of the, you can argue the prices, but you've got all the kit, and it looks great on the right-hand side as you walk in. But if you go to the far left-hand side by the tills, you've got kit from 2 years ago. I think you can still buy the 2021 kit because that's what I've no interest in that. And all the stuff that you're talking about in terms of merchandising and everything else, I'm not bothered about. You go anywhere else, there's a plethora of things that you could go and purchase, buy, and things that we're not doing. I maintain, and I know that there's licensing agreements and contractual obligations and so forth, whatever you want to call it, that we can't sell retro shirts. I maintain if we could get retro shirts in that club shop, it'd do business. And I know the reasons why we can't. You can't put an Umbro on the 91 because it's Terrace Life and everything else, blah blah blah. That would make it's a cash cow for the club. If we could find a way to do some business where we could look at doing that, I think it'd be fantastic. And it's all coming back into us. So from that point of view, I get it. From fan zone, club shop, I understand all that. If I've got £50 million, I'm thinking bigger. The first thing I'd look at would be the training ground. And the reason I'd look at the training ground is because of everything that is much maligned about the training ground. I'd want to put a good chunk of money at the training ground. Once I've done that and I've made it a viable place for players to work day to day to improve and develop their skill set, I'd be wanting to look at the stadium, and I'd also want to look at the academy. And that's where my money would go in no particular order. I think the training ground's priority, but stadium and academy, I think is important.
Stadium, what in what respects? I know you can say everything.
You can.
Yeah.
£50 million. You've referenced the Presto stand. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's a realistic thing to say. Right, for everything that we talk about and the what's, whys, and wherefores, if we could do something with that away end to make it a more viable sort or a more sustainable and better facility, look at that. The concourses are too small. The food kiosks aren't right. Why are we paying for people to pull a pint and we're queuing like we do out the club shop? We're queuing like that at half time. So make it more accessible for us to spend our money, because you can go back to it from a football finance point of view. And I'll pull back the curtain a little bit. I did this for my dissertation at university. That, you know, Manchester United and Tottenham, they were the two, and it was actually Tottenham Hotspur. Alan Sugar went in and looked at the club shop in the early 90s and went, right, how can we improve the revenue that's coming into our football club? Well, what we need is we've got all these people in this shop, and they're not spending any money because we've got one point where they can spend the money. You go to Manchester United, they've got 30 odd tills in their club shop. You go to Barcelona, it's on 3 different levels. You can't walk around a corner without them saying, take my money. And yet we will queue for 25, 30 minutes to go and buy a football shirt. How, you know, we want to spend our money on match days. What puts us off? Queuing for 30 minutes. We want to go and buy beer. What puts us off? Standing in a queue for 15, 20 minutes, getting it at 4 minutes before second half kicks off and necking it. So make it more easy, make it simpler for us to go and spend the money.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So what you're saying is that you're putting it out there to Chansiri that you're available for consultancy.
I would love. You know what?
North Yorkshire's got that.
He has, and for all, it is everything you've said in that respect is.
I'm still not over asking him the question about the chairman at the fan, about the manager at the fans forum last week.
Hey, mate.
I felt guilty.
Get over it. Yeah, give over, man. No.
I did.
You're asking questions. You're getting name checked. Fucking hell. Right. Have we got any more, Ash?
Yeah. We've got one more.
Go on.
So, Stu Williams in the LMS chat is gone. We'll finish on a good one. Here's one for you. If Dan was allowed one aesthetic treatment for the rest of his life, what would it be and why? Right. First, before you answer this, Daniel, I'm going to put it to Stevie to suggest one for you.
Oh.
And then you can answer it. Stevie, if Dan, because we know Dan has got a man in Turkey, what aesthetic job treatment do you reckon Dan would have?
I love Dan. I love him. I genuinely love him.
Big book coming in there.
They're a massive ball.
I want to help
BBL.
you, and I know that it's doable. Your forehead is done on a reg. Your teeth are done on the reg. You can get uplifts. You can. I'm not even going to tell people what you get done to your body, because I know there are things
you just have.
No. There's more than that. There is more than that. I am telling you. I know. And it's not to do with the facials. There are other things that are going on lower down. Not that lower down, but I know, because I can remember the group chat from about a year ago when he was in a clinic somewhere.
Didn't work, that one.
Did it not?
Didn't work. No, it didn't.
We'll chat on Saturday.
Yeah.
Are you the Barry Bannon of... it didn't work, that one. No, do it again. No, it didn't work.
Try again.
The one thing that I think he's quite envious of other mortal men is that he can't grow facial hair. So they're getting facial hair implants.
I've inquired about it. Yes. I tell you what it is with the beard stuff. I think that people growing a beard is like makeup for men, and I feel like you can do it. And you know, like, look at, I like, you know, I want it. Your one that you've got there, Stevie, I quite like. I'd love to be able to grow something like that. And you can, and like the Ash has got is a bit longer, and you can put yourself a jawline in. You know what I mean? I like it, like kind of like just you can really shape your face. I do get jealous that I can't grow a beard. I've tried creams, I've tried those spiky rollers to try and thing it. I'm even on a course of minoxidil right now, and I'm really like I'm shaving more, but there's no new hairs coming through. You know what I mean?
I'm so happy.
So is that your choice? Has Stevie guessed right as well, or is the one that you're gonna think you want to go full? What was it? Brian Blessed, weren't it? Big.
No, I feel like I'm still, even at 45 this year, I'm still trying to keep an eye out that I might one day be able to grow one. You know what I mean? But I feel like ship sailed. So I'm used to seeing my face without a beard. I've been lucky with my hair. I've been lucky keeping that. But I feel like if I was going bald, I'd be straight to Turkey and getting that sewn in. Absolutely. The teeth are an ongoing. I don't know. I feel like it ages me if I've shaved my head a couple of times, and once again, I'm a walking nose and ears. You know what I mean? So the teeth are a constant job. You're constantly getting things moved and reshaped, and my jaw's currently wonky right now. If you get to look up, if you notice closely, and the teeth would probably be the one, but. Botox, the forehead I've been getting done for like best part of 20 years. Not getting that done anymore would be like, it'd be weird. I'd be like, I've got this big line through the middle of my head, and I always ask them not to put too much in it because I want it to be like more natural looking, and I want it to be calmed down rather than full on like that. You know what I mean? So I just kind of I like a touch up. One thing I did. One thing I did have done that I absolutely fannied out of. If you look at the bags, all these late nights and the fags and the beer have taken their toll over the years, and I've got these bags under my eyes, and I thought that they were really bad. What I found out now is you just put a cold compress on them and they kind of shrink up a little bit. Or top tip, Anisol. Put some pile cream underneath your eyes, and it tightens the skin up, and works a treat. Little top tip for you there, kids. And one thing I did fanny out of was having a filler injection underneath my eye. Now, what I found out is they go in from the side, go right up to the side of your nose, and then press the plunger as they pull it out, and the needle's like the length of your eyeball. I went, no, thank you. No, thank you. So, in terms of answering the question,
yes,
probably tea. Probably
what
tea.
Were you doing? What were you doing when you discovered that pile cream smooths your face?
I was singing "No Diggity" to some fellas, swapping stories about how we look after our hair in the queue to some other lads.
Well, I tell you what. I don't think we can ever be accused of not covering all bases on this
covering
podcast,
all bases
on any show that we do that has the Wednesday week in the title, because you don't know where you're going to go.
Can you remember when we started these and we went, right, what we need is short form, 20 minutes. We'll just do 20 minutes, 3 questions, question.
Yeah, I did. That was it. When I said, like, "Call lads, this will be all right. We'll get a couple of questions. Do it. It'll be. I don't know. Who's your 5-a-side team? Yeah. And then Stevie will spend 20 minutes doing that, and then we'll go into. And then we'll get questions about all this, and it's like, and then we'll get onto Anisol for eyes.
Yeah, pile cream on your eyes.
Yeah. Guys, as always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me on this. It's been great, Stevie, Dan. Like I said before we started, like, subscribe, review, all that good thing. And any question that you want to answer yourself, in the comments, just answer in the comments. We'll get back to you. Either ketchup, cupboard or not. Anisol on your eyes. If you had 50 million quid, what would you spend it on? Not players, obviously. What was it? And a time machine from Al. If 24 hours, forward or back, what would you do? Thank you very much. This has been the Wednesday week Q&A, and we'll see you again.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week, bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there for podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday Week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast.